you're pushing for equal pay, and you also support a $15 federal minimum wage. The CBO came out with a report that said over 1 million people or 1 million jobs would be lost if this $15 minimum wage went through. Does that concern you at all?
I don't agree with it. I don't think that's true at all. These jobs still need to be done. People need to have a living wage. And when you don't have a living wage, it just means the rest of us have to pay for your business. The rest of us have to pay for food stamps, for more social safety net programs, money for at-risk, at-need families because they don't earn enough to provide for their kids. Anybody working 40 hours a week should not be living below the poverty line. So we should have a living wage of at least $15 indexed to inflation.
What about the small business owner who can't handle that and is forced to do layoffs?
I don't believe that's going to be what happens. And if you do need investment for small businesses, there's other ways to do that. You can do it through tax policy. You can do it through direct grant investment. But saying that people who work for you have to live in poverty, it's not the American way. It's not who we are. It's not what we believe. So I disagree. I think every worker should be paid a living wage. We should strengthen our unions so we have more collective bargaining power. We should fight against right-to-work states who really harm workers, as well as fight in favor of card checks so it's easier to organize and easier to join a union.
Let's move now to the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund, which I know you've been pushing for. Finally got passed by an overwhelming margin, a couple of dissenting Republican senators. You were there in the press conference right beside Jon Stewart and Senator Chuck Schumer of New York. I first want to get your thoughts before I get into the contents of the bill. There was a report out by the New York Post that said that your office rejected a request from New York Mayor Bill de Blasio to attend the event. Is that true, and why?
I wasn't involved in that decision, but I've reached out to the mayor. We're going to make sure we do something fun with the first responders so that he can participate.
Okay. And as far as the bill itself, I want to get your words right here. You said during that press conference that today is not a celebration, it's a deep sigh of relief. What does this bill mean for the 9/11 community and its supporters?
It means everything. Just imagine your spouse or your son or your daughter or your parent dying of a horrible cancer. And imagine how that affects your ability to provide for your kids, to enjoy life, to eat, to do anything literally that is meaningful to you in your life. That's what these families are going through. It is crippling. And so to know, number one, that obviously what we did last time was make sure that health care was there for their lives. But number two, to know that your family can have peace of mind that if you do die, that they will be compensated because you couldn't work and you couldn't provide for them and you couldn't do all the things you used to do. I think that takes a weight off our first responders, our heroes, and our community members' shoulders, and knows that when America said, we'll never forget, that they actually meant it.
The debates are coming up, the next primary debates, where you'll be sharing the stage with 9 other 2020 candidates. You are in the single digits in the polling, which I'm sure you're aware of. If you are unable to hit these stricter fundraising and polling targets, is that going to shape your decision about whether to, in the future that is, whether to pursue this presidential campaign?
We will hit those targets because I'm the only candidate from a blue state that's running that actually wins in red places and purple places. I have the highest vote percentage in the history of New York State at 72%. That's higher than Obama, Hillary, Trump. And in my last election, I just won back 18 counties that went to Trump. So I have a story to tell Democratic voters, because when you go to Iowa and New Hampshire, their first question is, can you beat Trump? Their second question is, can you beat Trump? Their third question is, can you beat Trump? And I can. And so that's the story I want to tell on this next debate stage. I think that will earn me the supporters that I need. And I think that people want to hear more from me.